I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can thread. This is the way that works best for me. This is the technique that I use every single day. So you're basically going to unravel your thread. I unravel about 6 to 7 times depending on the size of your hands. I have pretty small hands. So about 6 times I unravel my thread. I break it at the base, leave a little tab because you don't want to lose your tab in your thread. Because you have to cut a piece, you're going to have 2 different sizes. Just try it. If you got to cut it with a scissor, cut it with a scissor as opposed to ripping it. I am going to grab the loose ends of the string and I'm going to tie a knot, basically kind of starting a cat's cradle if you remember that game when we were kids. And it should be what you have. So once you make that knot, you want to either double or triple knot it. Sometimes if you knot once, your string will break. If it breaks in the middle of your service, that is okay. Usually I will set up maybe 2 or 3 of these so that if it breaks, I don't have to spend the time to create a new one. And this is what it should look like. I like to hold the knot in one hand while spinning the other hand about 6 times. This is what's going to create the loop for you to grab the hairs. So I'm just here showing you different ways that you can hold it. You can put your whole hand in there. You can put just a few fingers in there, including your ring fingers. You can do 3 fingers. So it really depends on what you're comfortable with, if this is the style that you choose to use for threading. So this is from a different perspective of me doing the exact same actions. I'm going to unravel my thread 6 to 8 times. I'm going to grab both ends, loose ends of the thread, tie them into a knot 2 to 3 times. Sometimes, depending on how long the extra piece of thread is, I'll trim it just a little bit so it's not in the way. I do like to hold the knot in my right hand and make sure it's secure, because if your knot winds up being in between where you twist, it is going to get caught. You're not going to rip the hairs out and you are going to hurt your client. So make sure to hold the knot in one hand while you twist with the other hand about 5-6 times. Sometimes, depending more or less, depending on the client's thickness of the hair, you might need to twist your thread a few more times, just because thicker hairs have more resistance when they're being pulled out versus thinner hairs. So think of Mrs. Pac-Man. So here you're going to open, slide under the hair, and then go in with the opposite hand. I didn't have a physical client with me, but I'm going to show you on this photo of my client. Again, we're going to wrap the string around a few times, holding the knot in the other hand. Make sure we're comfortable with how many fingers we're using. I work behind my client. Some people work in front of their client while their client is sitting up. I like to have my client laying down and work behind them. So this is how you're going to hold this thread. So as you can see, where my right hand is placed, I open the string to then slide it under the hair. Once I'm in place, I open my left hand to start the mechanism of the twisting of the string in order to pull the hair out. That is why I want you to hold on to that knot so that it doesn't get in the way of your work. So with the unibrow, you're going to want to either go up, down, you can go left, right, always making sure that you're not in the way of the other hairs, because it is possible for you to pull out a brow hair on the opposite side of the face. It's also possible, depending on how quickly you're working, for you to pull on a client's eyelash extensions. I've done it before. Luckily, the extension was going to fall out, so it didn't hurt my client. But this is the way that you want to position yourself if you're working behind your client for threading.